Hello, champions, and welcome to What's My Role podcast, episode 34. I'm Golden, your host, and with me today I've got Bean,
What's up?
Mr. E,
Howdy.
Donnix,
Hey.
and GT Goat.
Hi.
All right, as we all know, season 1 of The War Within just came to an end for the first week, so that's what we'll be talking about today. Enjoy the podcast. Alrighty, guys, so we can first get into what all of us did kind of on our own throughout the week and how our individual experience went, especially with The War Within. Really seems to be having a focus on that solo player experience. So we can start with that. So who wants to go first with their week in Warcraft?
I guess I'll go first.
Already.
I've been doing a lot of delves, as I'm sure all of us have. I had a whole bunch of keys saved up from before the season started. So I've been doing my 4 a day and then sometimes even more when, other people jump on, need some help. I'm down to 1 key left. So, and I've been running a lot of them as tier 8 solo with my protection paladin. Got my gear score up to 601 now. So I have mostly champion gear. I do have a couple vet pieces that are 8 out of 8. The only thing that does not seem to drop from the delves is weapons, so no sword or shield from there. It's kind of a bummer. Overall, I like what they are. I know it's been kind of a really inconsistent experience for everybody in this group. For me personally, I have not really had a lot of issues with them though. I've been pretty lucky with my gear. I haven't really run into any bugs. There's only been maybe 2 or 3 where I was like, okay, I can't do this, and had to just back out. And a lot of that had to do with their really fucky tuning that they were like, oh, let's just buff the hell out of this at like 10 o'clock at night on, when was that? Was that like Friday night?
On a Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't know when they did it, but it was nasty. And then they're like, oh, we're going to fix it. And then they, fucked it up in a different kind of way. And they're kind of, it's bouncing all over the place, right?
Yeah. That was, well, that happened Wednesday, right? The hotfix came in because on Tuesday, when the season dropped, you, me, Donnix, and Aspen, we pushed some delves, right? So we started off on the tier 4s and then solo, and I think around the 6 is when we started grouping up. It might have been earlier, but either way, we did an 8, and it was punishing if you let the enemies hit you, but like it was doable, right? And we're like, oh, this is awesome, and we knocked out an 8 in our first night, and we were well below the recommended.
Yes, we were
eye level, which I get how that could be a concern, right? Like maybe not challenging enough, right?
Well, I mean, when we ended it, I was the only one alive, so it was pretty tough.
That's true.
Flaunting, aren't we?
And then
I'm the tank.
And then the next day, I think we tried to do more delves at tier 8, and we hit the wall, man. Like it was just not doable, and
it was the mini bosses were crushed. Really bad.
Yes, 100%. Anything else that you kind of soloed on? I'll let everybody get their piece in for what they soloed on this week, and then we will absolutely go right back to the fuckery that is the delves.
I was also doing, my mining and jewel crafting. I've been kind of getting really into that. I'm trying to get the recipes from PvP. They cost like 7,500 honor each, so I've been doing battlegrounds and stuff. I've got almost a full honor set. I think I'm just missing like a couple tiny pieces.
Nice.
So that's been a lot of fun, actually. It's really fun getting into the battlegrounds once you have that honor gear. You can actually do some damage, so it's pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, trying to get those recipes so I can start crafting the public orders and making a little bit of extra gold on the side,
Very nice.
Also, so I can craft stuff for the group too, because I know you can put in guild orders that I can fulfill for you guys. So
absolutely, man.
Besides that, well, I mean, yeah, the PvP is the other thing, which I guess is kind of mixed in with that. So yeah, I've been doing that, and the world PvP is fun too. There's like the little areas that are PvP areas out in the open world that are pretty fun to go into and kind of brawl with people.
Absolutely.
I think that's kind of been the majority of what I've done solo though this week.
Nice. Mr. E, how about you?
Not too terribly much. Did some delves. Did some world PvP. Did some old raids. But nothing ridiculous. Tried fighting Zakir or whatever his name is.
Zekvir, yeah.
Zekvir. Got my ass handed to me a couple times. Did some fishing. Did a little bit of fishing.
Nice.
And yeah, that's about it. For solo stuff anyway.
I know we talked about it a little bit before we started kicking off the podcast, but you kind of want to go over, like, did you have some issues with delves as well, or if any, what were they?
Yeah, I was having so like I was getting destroyed by the trash like consistently. Like I was having to like slow down, be strategic with my pulls, really watching what was going on. And then when I got to the boss, I was like, all right, I need to be real careful here. I need to pay attention to the mechanics. Went into my opener. By the time I'm done with my opener, the boss is half dead. And then I just finished out my rotation and just melted them. And I was like, I kind of feel like the boss needs to be like a capstone here, not like all the trash.
Yeah.
But
I mean, wish that
I
was
don't
my
know.
experience.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because like I stopped beforehand, let all my cooldowns come off and like jumped in ready to go, but it was still much easier compared to the rest of the delve, which I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah, I think it might be because I think they have said that the delve experience is tuned to each spec. So I think each spec has its own kind of, this is how much health the enemies are going to have, this is how much damage they do. And I don't know if Bran also is affected by what spec you're playing. I would assume so. So it seems like there's just kind of a lot of
sense, right?
There's a lot of like counterbalancing going on where things with this many specs in the game, maybe that's not the way they should do it, but I don't know. It's it does seem really inconsistent because like I had said before, I was playing with my Lightsmith build, which is supposed to be the more survivable build, and I could not stay alive. And this is on tier 8 solos. And so I switched to my Templar build, which is all about doing more damage and has less survivability. And I could actually stay alive much easier with that build. So it's kind of, I don't know, man.
Yeah. It's all over the place, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Donnix? What you got, Donnix?
Yeah, I didn't play too much last week. Mainly delves, trying to get my item level up. World events, world quests. That's pretty much all I did. And of course, smashing my head against delves and ridiculous bugs and stupid crap.
Yep, 100%. Mr. Goat?
Oh, my solo week turned out pretty well. We finally got to the point in the campaign where I go, world quests and delves.
Yeah.
That was just last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just last night. So we are on the arc on a chart of going straight up.
That's right.
Let's all
to the moon, baby.
Let's all have a round of applause for our goat.
Right.
Thank you.
That's right.
I always let y'all finish first. That way you feel like you did something. Anyways,
always a gentleman.
What's next?
Anything else, or is that?
Are we going to talk about the raid? Or
We
want to say that
will,
later?
but I'll tell you, you're good. So I wanted to ask you guys the reason why I was asking about specific issues too in delves, to hear, because being like what you just said a minute ago about it being tuned specifically for each class. I was wondering that because I think as a healer running as a Mistweaver, I get it. I know some people will swap over and they'll play the damage spec of Monk. I don't like to do that. I like to stay within my healing rotation, just so when I have challenges keeping myself alive, like I'm using my different healing abilities and different stuff. And I don't know, I guess I'm just comfortable with it. And so when I jump into Mythic Plus, it's what I'm right. It makes me more, I feel like it makes me more consistent, right? But I'm thinking that there's probably some challenges unique to healers running Delve solo. And I saw all sorts of crazy stuff involving Bran. First off, after we ran that 8 on the first night of release season 1, the next night I tried doing 8. I'm like, I can't. The 8 was like taking too long, or I didn't feel like it was very time efficient. So I jumped down to a 7 because it's champion gear. It's just like one upgrade below, right? And so I was like, I'll do 7s. And there has been everything from Pagsley, which is an NPC on Waterworks, not functioning and not moving, so I couldn't complete that delve. I've had the candles and the hammers that you have to hold and move with you through the delve disappear on me and not come back when I've gotten to the new checkpoint. So I'm literally stuck there with like a small circle of the previous one I was holding. And so now I've got to sprint through the enemies and like try to survive and get to the next one. So all sorts of bugs. And then after the other fix that they did, Bran will be dying and taking damage even when there's no dot on him and when he's actually not in range of taking damage. So I'm getting pummeled. I've got all the aggro and Bran is just dying. And so it's like I have to heal Bran, but I have to keep myself alive too, right? And it's just the dumbest shit. Don't get me wrong, I love Delves for what they are trying to make them. I think they are great. It was such an awesome experience when we ran that first 8. But it has been just ridiculous. And then I don't know if this is true or not, or maybe I didn't see this correctly. Today I was running Delves, and every time Bran died, one of my lives went away. So every time he died, I was losing lives. And I was like, what is going on? It was ridiculous. Going through with Bran is such a hassle. And I've been watching, that was most of my week, was obviously, and then we can get into stuff we did as a group too. But I've been watching stuff just recently from videos that have been posted from content creators today saying that Bran as a healer is like super OP. And it's like, I'm a healer, so that's like counterintuitive for me to
have like a double healer setup.
Right, but apparently he is. And it's just been absolutely kind of crazy between the lack of damage that he's doing now, and I already do less damage as a healer. So it's been kind of a struggle. It hasn't been once I get in, now that I've had enough time in Delves, when I get in there, like I realize that these are the challenges that I'm having. So like I go through 7s now pretty easily. Gear wise, I was unlucky. I have gotten 5 different weapons with my coffer keys in Delves. So I got a single-handed weapon main and then offhand weapon, and then I got the same staff twice, and then I got a completely different staff. So like that was kind of frustrating as well to not really get the full spectrum.
Would you say you've been shafted?
I would say I've been shafted.
Well, that's fucked up because I haven't got a single weapon or shield.
Yeah. So I don't know how the tuning is as far as the RNG for how the gear drops. But yeah, I don't know if it's just unique to healers, the experience that I'm going through, but Bran taking damage when he's like in Narnia, way off in the corner doing whatever Bran does sometimes. And I'm the one who's got all the aggro and there's no debuff on him and his health is just like chunking down. I don't know if that's some type of bug or what, but like,
he's just playing his class,
some pretty, and then the fact that he will run into the spores on the fungal delves
every time.
So I've got the aggro and I'm trying to utilize the spores. They're there for a reason. Like clearly they want you to use the spores to help you take care of the enemies, right? You can use some strategy. But Bran's dumbass just runs into the spores and now he has a debuff on him and I've got all the aggro, but I've got to keep the dipshit alive. Like, so it's
And it's like so different than my experience because I literally don't pay any attention to his health. And if he dies, I just keep going.
Yeah.
Because he eventually will res himself.
It's nuts that it takes lives from you. I wonder if it's because you play healer spec.
I wish I had recorded that.
I hope that's not intentional.
But I swear to God, it was the last delve that I did, and he died twice. And you start with 4, you start with 5. You start with 5, right?
Yes, you start with 5.
And I was down to 3 after one of the fights, and I hadn't died once. He had died twice, and I was like, "Well, what is going on?"
I'm gonna go.
I don't know.
I'll test that tomorrow and just let him die and see if it counts for me. Because I could kind of see maybe it counting if you were a healer.
Well, doesn't a healer already have a tougher time?
It's already
like, why do they need to like hope that Bran isn't a dumbass, which he's like 100% going to be?
Yeah. So it's been a thing, man. Overall, I know delves will get sorted. Anyone who wants to shit on it, shit on it. All criticism is fair, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, so that's been primarily my thing. As far as solo goes, I did some PvP, I got some PvP gear to help make up for my lack of luck in the delves. I really did enjoy the PvP, doing the epic battlegrounds.
Were you healing?
It can be frustrating. Yes.
Nice.
100%. But yeah, so I guess we can get into, if you guys are ready, do you guys want to talk about some of the group delve stuff? Or do we want to go into talking about the raid?
I feel like we should just talk about the raid, right?
100%.
Unless anyone else has anything else to say on delves, I think we're ready for the raid stuff.
Yeah,
not this.
I mean, for you guys doing PvP, your PvP trinkets.
Yeah.
Yes, I got them.
Make sure you get the set bonus.
Yep. Made sure to get that.
Very, very
appreciate you.
Oh, it's a huge like set bonus. 12%. It's crazy.
Primary stat.
Yeah, that's like the first thing you want to go for, and then weapons, right?
Yeah, that's insane. It's an insane boost. Well, Mr. Bean, do you want to go ahead and roll us through that experience and kind of set the stage?
Yeah. So Friday night we had determined was going to be our raid night. We've kind of had it where we hosted like time walking raids before.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've had nights where we've done LFR, but we're doing like the current raid and we're making a group and we're, picking up randoms and pugging it, So we started off the night, we had to get Goat a little bit geared up. He is a little bit behind, so we helped him out a bit. We went down to Nerub-Ar Palace. We picked up Firelight, Gannis, and Potatoes, right? Is that the 3 we grabbed?
Yeah.
And then 100%. We had most of our normal crew. So we did a 10-man normal raid. And we went in there and fought Olgrax the Devourer. Well, first we died to the trash. Right, of course. Immediately.
Well, do you want to back up to the very first pull and talk about that?
Well, that's after we died to the trash.
Oh, gotcha. Yes,
that was after the trash.
Okay. So
I was main tank, and Mr. E was off tanking, and then we had Golden healing, and Vindo Viper was our second healer, and everybody else was doing DPS. So we you like YOLO'd into the trash and we wiped there and we all laughed. And then we got to the first boss and Golden's about to start explaining what we need to do. And I run up and we start the fight as he's beginning to explain it. So I kind of Leroy Jenkins it and I felt really bad about it because that was not my intention, but I was kind of just like ready to go.
Yeah.
And there was no communication. I wasn't like, are you guys ready? It was like, let's go.
Press buttons.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. So of course
try DPS. You'd be great at it.
Oh yeah. Well, Ret Paladin's a lot of fun actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, we died a few times. Overall, we did end up killing him. and it was a really fun experience, right?
Yeah. It was awesome. I really loved it. Mr. E, thank you for filling in as the other tank as well. I know primarily your DPS with the Havoc, but
Yeah.
swapping
Well, I
over to
got to get the
Vengeance.
prestige. I got to get the
There you go.
prestige.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was awesome, and it was really cool to see us progress too, right? So no one was mad about the poll. I think everyone was just kind of shocked. But it was fine, right? Like we jumped into it, we were laughing about it, and we were just having fun. And the guys who were with us, Firelight, he was dying, even though I know he wasn't talking in the Discord. I was reading his messages, and like they were loving it. So like
Yeah.
it was definitely, it made it such a fun experience. And then really to see you and Mr. E like talk that over as far as like swapping aggro and everybody learning the fight together. And I know we wanted to do it where it was like, hey, we're gonna learn this fight. And anyone who's ran a raid before or posted a group for a raid, I'm sure can relate to this. Like in an ideal world, I would love to just go in there blind and figure it out. But the problem is that a lot of people who are looking for groups, like most people, not everybody has the time. And so most people want to get in there and like knock it out, and you'll start losing people if they don't want to, if that's not really their thing, is learning it from scratch. So
Yeah.
I felt like I had to take like a once over of mechanics that were mentioned from other content creators, just so we could feel like the people who ended up joining our group
Had a
wouldn't get
positive
fed up,
experience.
and had a positive experience. And so I think I was just trying to do a balancing act of that. But no, it was awesome. It was a little sweaty. We had a few people who were not at the recommended eye level. So
Yeah.
that did make it a little tougher, but I feel like we learned a lot from that. And overall, I'm really happy.
Yeah, the experience for sure could have been a little bit smoother if everyone had been fully geared, but it's season 1, week 1. Not everyone's got as much time as other people. Ultimately, we're trying to have a fun time. We do want to complete the entire raid and all that, but you're right though. There is kind of like an expectation of, I feel like in this game, a lot of people kind of like, why don't you know the fights? Go look into the fights if you want to play the game.
Yes.
So there is kind of like I don't know, there's like, you want to have that blind experience to figure things out, but you also do want to,
Yeah.
we're trying to
be
like
fair.
run a WoW channel and a WoW podcast, so there is a bit of an expectation.
Right.
Definitely fun. I've a lot to learn as far as tanking goes, especially tanking with somebody else.
Yeah,
No, we had
that's
a
tough.
few miscommunications there. And like that buff, like the buff, you're like, when you get the buff, you need to swap aggro, and I'd get it. Like the first like couple times I'd get it, and I'm like, that thing's got like 20 stacks. That can't be the buff he's talking about.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
yeah.
it is. Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
But I was actually really surprised. I don't remember how many times we wiped, but I was actually very surprised that everybody like stayed the whole time.
I was.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, my experience, like the first one, obviously that's a bit of a mulligan.
Yeah.
But, no, after the third time, I was like, we're about to start losing people, but we didn't. Everybody stuck around.
I think everybody was just enjoying the experience of it.
Yeah.
We were actually just having fun with the game instead of go over here, do this, then move to the left 3 steps, then stay there.
Yeah, we had all those loving words for each other.
Speaking of experience, I know that was new for all of us, but for you, Goat, that was kind of like your first time going in. That was your first time going into a normal raid. So, as the newest on the team, what did you think? And like comparison wise to like diving into Mythic Plus versus that?
like I said, it was a more enjoyable experience because we were doing what we do every day, just enjoying the game and each other, poking fun, figuring it out. And like I said, we had 2 people want to go Rambo right off the bat, so that pretty much set the stage for the rest of our raid.
It wasn't a total sweat fest. Though, like it was challenging, but it was just challenging to learn the mechanics. But it wasn't like Mythic Plus.
Yeah, there wasn't as much pressure as Mythic Plus, where it's like, okay, we need to go here, then we need to pull these guys down a hallway, so that way they're trapped and coned in here. It was more just like, hey, I got an idea. And we just ran off of that, and we eventually figured out the right idea to do, and actually accomplished it.
Donnix, what you got?
No, it went really good. I was I had the kind of the same worry as Mr. E when we started to wipe on that boss, just because you don't run into a lot of pug players with patience.
Yes,
but the people we picked up were awesome. Firelight, looks like he might be kind of joining us for some more going forward.
Firelight did message me a couple times saying they are down to run Mythics and raid with us again. So
that's awesome.
For sure.
And one of the things that helped me out a lot, and it was kind of silly, was that little mini game on Wowhead.
Oh, that pineapple thing that I shared, right?
That thing was awesome. Like right when they started doing the mechanics, I'm like, oh shit, I know what to do.
Yeah. Everyone should check it out. It's actually super easy to do, and it gives you a really basic idea of the mechanics.
I could not get it to load.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways.
No, I think like as a group, even with the issues we're having with item level and stuff like that, we did good. We did really good for our first run as a guild in a raid, in a normal raid.
Yes,
a blind normal raid.
A blind.
Well, semi-blind, I guess.
Partially blind. One eye blind.
No, I was super stoked that we got the kill on the first boss, and real proud of our group for kind of hanging in there and getting it done.
Yeah. I think, I had the same fears too. I've jumped in raids, right? And I've seen people quit first time. Someone doesn't do something right. And I honestly, or at least what I'm hoping is that part of the benefit that we had was that because we just kind of laughed it off, right? And we were just being goofballs. I think the people who joined our group actually were enjoying themselves because of it. And I think that kind of like made them not want to leave, or at least that's how I look at it, right? Or that's what I'm hoping. They had such good attitudes about it.
Raid like
yeah, absolutely. No. just we'll stage it every time now. It was a learning point for me too.
Like you don't want to stay,
but you have to.
It's your time to shine. Let's go.
Well, it's kind of funny because like that whole situation kind of like created the tone for the rest of the run. Like for the rest of the run, we didn't take things, we were trying to get mechanics down, but we weren't taking anything super serious. Everybody was still having fun, even though we were wiping. So I think that kind of like as funny as a thing as, of a wiping right at the beginning is, it kind of, set that tone of, okay, we're learning, we're here to have fun. This isn't super serious. And if we get some kills, then great.
Yeah. And when I posted the group, I did put learning as the name of it, because I wanted to be, fair to people that were joining.
Yeah. That's a good point. You did do that. Learning experiences from that too. I can say like with you guys with tanking, I definitely had to learn like with the fight, like in Mythic Plus, like I've learned the boss's mechanics, and I'm like, okay, this is when I'm going to use this. This is what I'm going to, what I mean? But I don't really think too much about it. But one thing that I noticed is like, I had to pay attention because you guys have the stacks falling off, right? And so you need to swap that aggro, and it's like I have to be ready to burst heal because of how bad that debuff is with how much healing you receive when it's on you. I had to be quick and remember, keep have something on cooldown or immediately burst heal that person as soon as they come off cooldown, because you've immediately got to take that aggro, and there's only seconds until he puts the debuff right back on the person who it just fell off of. And I know that would kind of screw us a couple times if I didn't get your guys' health back up.
Yeah.
From the damage of the debuff.
Yeah, and it was a lot different for me because I'm used to just being the only tank. So having to actually communicate the swaps, I've done LFR and stuff where, Deadly Boss Match just tells me when to taunt.
Yeah.
And, I typically am not having any communication from the other tank, so I might not necessarily know the reason that I'm taunt swapping. I'm just like, okay, it says to swap, so here I go. But doing it with Mr. E, the timing of that debuff, like after he applies it, there's still a few seconds left on the other person before they actually want to taunt. So there's like a couple seconds where it's like things are really scary.
You're wondering how much you can get away with before you have to.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to take it and then die, but I also don't want him to die. Yes. So it's tough. And then the communication itself is like, if you go back and watch the VOD, I'm like, I have the the debuff is currently applied to me instead of just saying, taunt.
Hear ye.
Swap it. It doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know my thing was like how quickly we have to swap back and forth. Like the second my taunt is like off cooldown, I'm happy to use it again. I didn't realize, especially like the first couple pulls, I didn't realize it was going to be like that, like back and forth. Like I figured I'd have them for a few minutes, you'd have them for a few minutes, not a few seconds.
Not so rapid. Yeah.
And one thing I did notice is after you would get it, and then he would kind of switch to like a different mechanic, like whether it's the soak that we all have to do, or if he's going to do the stomp. I wasn't pulling aggro then, even though I guess I should have, because otherwise you still have the buff when he starts his next set of attacks. So I need to make sure that as soon as I have it off of me, I just go ahead and take aggro.
Yeah.
And then I know DBM was telling me to taunt
too early.
I'm so unfamiliar with tanking. Like I'd miss that half the time because I was just looking at my bars.
Does yours like say it to you too?
Like I don't know if I had the audio turned on. I know it's like popped up a message on screen, but I don't know,
it's like a giant yellow like taunt boss now.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sitting there staring at my bars because, like, as Havoc, I can pretty much do everything without looking. But I'm like, oh,
a little bit different with
this do?
Like,
what do I need
different
to do?
world, right?
Oh, I need to mitigate. Like,
yeah, what's that?
And and like I was going off of like the Wowhead like raid build, but I think that's also kind of meant for like somebody that knows what they're doing. So I had to like change that up to give me like another mitigating ability, so I'd be able to pop them all if like the the debuff swap, something went wrong there, or just having another one that I could use.
Right.
Yeah, and one thing that I hadn't considered was in all of the like top tier guilds, they have like very specific raid comps, which we clearly were not paying any attention to.
Yeah,
because there's lots of different classes that bring what might be considered mandatory raid buffs.
Yeah.
Which I mean, that's fine because we're having fun. We're playing what classes we want.
And we managed to clear it, and that was something. Remember, I brought up. Like I was thinking about it after. I was like, man, imagine having a warlock gate during the feeding part to just
that'd be
funnel everybody through. And of course, those would all be great to have. But if we don't have that, it's good to know that we can manage it. And there's things that I could have done better too. Like I could have used Transcendence, but I wasn't even thinking about it, which basically lets me leave my body. So I could leave my body, run up and feed, hit Transcendence again. It will teleport me back to my body. And then I could pick up another one. It was something that I was not even considering. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a mage could have done alter time too.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, overall, man, I thought it was an awesome experience, and I'm really looking forward to next week as well as we start really clearing it out and progressing.
So Goat's gonna off tank next week, right?
Hell yeah.
Let
No
DK
inglés, señor.
Let DK win.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and do the roll call. Bring it up.
Okay, so on our last podcast 33, Blackstone used to hang out a lot in our streams, but we kind of haven't been streaming like the last month until Friday. Blackstone said, "Epic thumbnail. Well done, whoever's responsible." And that was the one with Bran and the explosion behind him, and then me and Golden are on either side. I was actually really proud of that one. I think it looks pretty cinematic. It almost looks like a movie poster, I feel like. I've discovered that even though I live in the UK, it is possible to play on US servers. So once I clear up some priorities in real life, I will get War Within and see if I can get into some community stuff. Keep up the awesome videos. So thanks a lot, Blackstone. Sorry we haven't been streaming. It would be awesome to do some raids or mythics or whatever with you. So definitely let us know when you figure that out.
Absolutely.
For new and returning players video, we had another MMO mouse comment. It seems to be a popular thing for people to talk about. Inferno Master 2702 said, "Where I never used a gaming mouse, I tried it and I find it harder to play that way than just using the keyboard. LMFAO, set in my ways, I guess." Well, the way I read that is that this person has already gotten used to playing with a keyboard. So trying to switch to MMO mouse is... All right.
Once he's on the high road, you can't get him off.
It's too late. It's too late.
Yeah. So, yeah. And to be fair with that... Oh, go ahead.
Well, we talk about this every episode. You don't need an MMO mouse.
No, you don't. And one of our newest guild members, right, Tiggy, he was asking questions about that too. We were like, no, you don't need it. It's a convenience thing, and it's preferable for some of us. It's not preferable for others. So it's whatever you're comfortable with and whatever you want to do.
Yep. It's just a tool that could potentially make things easier for you. Potentially not.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways,
interesting.
That's our comments.
All right. That's all we got on that.
Yep.
Cool. All righty, folks. So that's the end of the podcast. We will be rating every Friday. So this coming Friday, we'll be rating again. So please, if you're listening, watching, and you want to jump into raids, learn raids, you're more than welcome to join us. I really look forward to hopefully having Firelight and maybe some of the other guys who joined us as well on next Friday. But please come out and jump in with us. It'll be a blast. So tell us about your experience with Dells. You can leave it down in the comments. We'll talk about it in the next podcast. Has it been crazy and just absolutely insane like it has been for us? Some of the bugs, some of the issues with Brand being an idiot. Also, I'd be curious if any other healers have had the same issues that I've had. So leave it down in the comments. We'll bring it up in the next podcast. We play on Murden, and we'll leave all of our other details as far as the guild and everything else down in the description below. So until next time, we'll see you.
See ya.
Bye.